The two most frequent questions we received before our trip were, why Belize and where Belize? The where is easy. Belize is in Central America, just below the Yucatan Peninsula on the Caribbean Ocean, and bordered by Guatemala in the west. It's the only English-speaking country in Central America and has about 350,000 people. The why for me is the combination of Mayan ruins and ocean and jungle habitat, all in a beautiful subtropical climate which looks really good in February from Canada. We spent 2 nights at a perfectly comfortable Best Western in Ladyville just outside Belize City. It is well situated for exploring and has a good restaurant and bar. You might not want to over-research Belize. It has the 3rd highest murder rate in the world, but if you stay out of the drug trade between gangs on the south side of Belize City, you should be okay. Our first Belize adventure is to Lamanai, a significant Mayan ruin located a few hours from Belize City. You drive for an hour and a bit to a location on the New River near the town of Orange Walk. You then transfer to boat and travel down the river past birds and crocodiles and monkeys and Mennonites to a Mayan site still largely in the jaws of the jungle. The Mennonite community is one of the many scattered around Belize. Mennonites came from Canada through Mexico and into Belize in the 1950s, and today are an important part of the agricultural and construction economy. Lamanai could be mistaken for a few hills from the lagoon, so completely has the jungle hidden the temples. Lamanai was occupied for a very long time, 3,000 years at least, from as early as the 16th century BC through to the rise to glory as a dominant city-state from the 4th century BC to the 1st century CE. Lamanai continued to be occupied until after the arrival of the Spanish. The Mask Temple has mask carvings like something out of a Hollywood movie. The jungle here is alive with birds and monkeys and other critters, all keeping their distance but watching closely. Mayan civilization can be found from the Yucatan through Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras. Mayan culture grew and thrived and declined over thousands of years. Cities like Lamanai were city-states that would rise and fall in prominence. There was never a Mayan empire or state, but each city was ruled by its own priest kings. The high temple is 33 meters or 108 feet tall. From the top, you get a great view of the jungle and Lamanai Lagoon. was a single ball court where a sacrifice had been placed under the giant central marker. A pool of liquid mercury once stood in the rock, where offerings such as jade, shell, and pearls were placed. The Jaguar Temple is named for the boxy jaguar decorations. The Belize Zoo and Tropical Education Center is located about 40 miles drive from Belize City on the Western Highway. In 1983, a film shooting a documentary with captive wildlife came to an end of shooting, and the crew didn't know what to do with the now tame animals. Releasing them into the wild was not an option, and euthanasia seemed too extreme. An animal handler started a makeshift zoo to raise funds for their care. By 2010, the Belize Zoo is home to more than 170 individuals of 48 species native to Belize. The zoo only houses native animals. No zoo animals have been taken from the wild. Zoo residents were either donated pets, injured animals brought in for healing and rehabilitation, born in the wild, born at the zoo, or sent from another zoo. The Baird's tapir is the national animal of Belize and Central America's largest mammal. It is known as the mountain cow. Junior Buddy is a young jaguar born and raised at the Belize Zoo. For a small donation, you can sit in a cage inside his habitat and feed it. This was the highlight of the visit for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Amazing. had him since a kitten, I guess, or a cub. Yeah. Oh yeah. Has he ever taken a swat at anyone or got mad? Yeah. Yeah. I'll do that. Do you want to do one there, Kashan, or? I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. Here you go, buddy. Take it up. There you go. Yeah.
Good boy, Junior.
I've had house cats that aren't this friendly.
This guy's very friendly, but he's very strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Junior. Down you go, buddy.
Very good shape.
Alright. Hurry up, buddy. Down. Hurry up. Hurry up, Junior.
The zoo runs a problem jaguar rehabilitation program. This is aimed to educate the local peoples about jaguars and reduce the conflict between local farmers and jaguars, which may prey upon their livestock. We want to spend 4 nights in the jungle before heading to the coast. After researching our numerous options, we settle on Gumbo Limbo Jungle Resort. Gumbo Limbo is located about a half an hour's drive from San Ignacio in the Mountain Pine Ridge, a place of hills and creeks and jungle. This is more like a micro resort with 5 cabanas, a dining gazebo, and a pool. There is some spotty Wi-Fi in the main gazebo and no TVs in the rooms. If your goal is peace and quiet and to wake up to the call of jungle birds and hike a lush nature trail and watch the stars through a crystal clear night sky, then this might be the place for you. The food is a continental breakfast and a set dinner menu for $20, which was consistently terrific. Gumbo Limbo is off-grid and relies on solar power and collected rainwater. Gumbo Limbo is perfectly situated for afternoon or day trips to nearby Mayan ruins, river tubing, caving, horseback riding, canoeing, hiking. You can leave after breakfast, visit the Cahal ruins in Guatemala or Caracol ruins further into the Pine Ridge forest and be home for dinner. So after a day of laying about, we decided to head into San Ignacio, the largest town in the Cahal district, which is in western Belize near the Guatemalan border. San Ignacio is a nice tourist hub with a diverse population. There are several hotels, resorts, a casino, a few restaurants, gift shops. We are going to visit the Mayan site of Cahal Pech. Cahal Pech, which means place of ticks in a Mayan dialect, is located pretty much in the town of San Ignacio, but a 20-minute walk up the hill from the center of town. Cahal Pech, it is perhaps the oldest inhabited site in western Belize, with occupation dating back to at least 1200 BC. It was a palatial residence for Mayan nobility during the classic Mayan period. It was mysteriously abandoned in the 9th century. Each Mayan site has a unique flavor. They were city-states or ceremonial locations or royal residences that flourished at different times over hundreds of years. Cahal Pech has lower buildings that you can climb through and over. There aren't as many tourists, so you can take a quiet, leisurely time exploring the rooms and climbing for views. To build their city, the Mayans needed to burn trees for the lime cement production, and they needed to clear more and more land for agriculture. The deforestation messed with moisture retention, and crops eventually failed. The jungle encroaches and covers the ruins today, but it is probably deforestation and climate change that caused the collapse of Mayan civilization. At its peak in the 7th and 8th centuries CE, there were 19 million people living in the Mayan zone. Within 100 years, their dozens of cities were abandoned and jungle was taken back over. There's probably a lesson in there for us somewhere.
Yeah.
As a habit, because if I don't use it now, I will never use it again for the next 11 months. 10, 11 months, you know, before I might get a little cool days.
You'll see the gringos, they'll say.
Tikal is going to be our major day excursion. It was a toss-up between Caracol, the largest Mayan site in Belize, and Tikal, Guatemala, which is considered to be one of the most spectacular sites in the Mayan world. Both are about 2.5 hours away. Caracol is over some pretty rough roads through the mountain pine ridge. Tikal is a paved road. Our resort arranges for a tour company, which consists of a Belizean van driving us to the border, clearing Guatemalan customs, and getting into a Guatemalan van with a tour guide to take us to Tikal. We're having a parade of some sort. We drive through the Petén region, the heartland of classic Mayan civilization. It is estimated that the Petén Basin was home to several million people, being one of the most densely populated regions in the world at the time. The ruins lie amongst the tropical rainforests of northern Guatemala. Tikal was once a center of Mayan civilization, especially in the early classic period. It was a hub of religious ceremony, trade, and power. The monuments tell of a city that was constantly in conflict with neighboring city-states. The city covered an area greater than 16 square kilometers that included 3,000 structures. It's estimated that at one time, as many as 100,000 people lived in the vicinity of Tikal. An interesting feature of Cahal are the numerous stelae, or sculptured stone. They often have low circular stone altars before them. Stelae were stone propaganda tools raised to glorify kings and record great deeds, as well as display mythological scenes. This temple lines up with three other smaller temples. If you stand on the top, you can see the sunrise during the solstices and equinoxes over the smaller temples. Some of the temples here are over 230 feet high, and the site includes royal palaces, smaller pyramids, platforms, residences, administrative buildings, and inscribed stone monuments. Sure. Do you like these? One of these? Not like these at all? Thinking of something for Thomas, maybe? One might think that after 3 Mayan sites, that would be enough for one short trip, but after another day resting around the pool, I, wanted to see Xunantunich before we leave the Cayo. Xunantunich, which was the hardest ruin to learn how to pronounce, is a short cab ride from San Ignacio. You have to take a hand-crank ferry across the Mopan River. Once across, a police officer escorts you to the site. Xunantunich lies almost on the Guatemalan border, and tourists have been robbed here before. In January, an American tourist was murdered at a lodge next door. Pairs of heavily armed soldiers and tourist police patrol the site. Sometimes it's nice to explore a site without a guide. The guides certainly add to a knowledge and education of what you're looking at, but sometimes it's nice just to wander on your own up and down the pyramids. Xunantunich served as a Mayan ceremonial center in the late and terminal classic periods. Xunantunich means stone woman in Mopanand and refers to the ghost of a woman dressed completely in white with glowing red eyes who ascends the stone stairs of El Castillo and then disappears. She has been seen since 1892. The core of the city Xunantunich occupies is about 1 square mile, making it very small, consisting of a series of plazas surrounded by more than 26 temples and palaces. The Mayans were as obsessed with ball sports as modern culture, maybe even more so. The Mesoamerican ball game was played from many centuries BC, and modern Mayans still play a version of it. It was about keeping a rubber ball in bounds, getting it through the hoop. The Mayans took it a step further by sometimes sacrificing one of the teams. It is unsure if it was the winning or losing team. Ball courts can be found at almost all Mayan sites in many different sizes. El Castillo is the second largest structure in all of Belize. The frieze depicts the birth of a god associated with the royal family, gods of creation, as well as the tree of life, which extends from the underworld through the earth and up into heaven. The 2 main buildings had been shattered by a sudden disaster, probably an earthquake, and Xunantunich was abandoned in the 9th century. Each Mayan site is different, and Xunantunich has a peaceful, almost solemn feel. The Mayan invention of hydraulic cement came more than 1,500 years before Portland cement was patented in 19th century England. It enabled the construction of concrete structures that still stand today.
Beautiful and terrifying all at the same time. Resort. Just the loose stuff inside. Yeah, I'll see what you got. Those are nice. I just wanted to get a necklace for.
We have certainly packed a lot into the last few days, and for the next few days we'd like to relax by the seaside. We drive to the water taxi dock in Belize City through the south side, which seems to be the bad part of most towns. It looks okay to me. I guess nighttime is the time when you don't want to be wandering about. The water taxi is an inexpensive and comfortable 90-minute ride across the Caribbean Ocean to San Pedro and Ambergris Key. Ambergris is some sort of amber-like substance that whales vomit out, and they used to use it for something. I guess it used to be collected on the beaches here of this island.
Thank you.
We spent several very comfortable days at the Belizean Shores Resort, which was clean, had a great pool, and was only a golf cart ride away from San Pedro. San Pedro town is the only town in Ambergris. The rest is resorts. The main attractions are the Belizean Barrier Reef and its beaches. The Barrier Reef is the second largest in the world after the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. Because of the island's small size, the main form of powered transportation is golf carts. I'm not much of a swimmer, not much for jumping in the ocean, but Carolyn said that the trade-off for hauling her to 4 Mayan ruins was to do some snorkeling. Snorkeling was both way better and a little bit worse than I thought it would be. Apparently, having a mustache ruins the seal with your mask, so I knew right away that I would be snorting some salt water. They take you to locations around the reef that teem with fish. Apparently, it is some of the best snorkeling in the world, and I can believe it.
We do this with Marty and Dave.
I'm not a strong swimmer, so like a child, I'm outfitted with a floaty device.
Look at them. Look at them. You're going in there. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah.
We go to Shark Ray Alley, which used to be used by fishermen to clean their fish, so over time the nurse sharks learn to hang around. Today, your tour operators chum the sharks, and they swarm like pigeons.
Look. Look at this guy, Stan. Look how big he is. This is a big one. That is a big one. Oh, look, right under. Oh my gosh.
Nurse sharks don't bite people.
That is so cool. Oh!
Nurse sharks don't bite people. That's what I keep telling myself.
Are you looking at these over here?
Hang on.
When I go in the water, the mask starts to leak, but the level sort of settles and I get used to breathing through the snorkel and kick around with my floaty. A magical undersea world opens up to me. If I had a fitted mask, I think this would be wonderful.
A little late for that, eh? Okay.
Yeah, my mouse wasn't working there at all. I just
Oh, you just tucked it right in and
Yeah.
your eyes are all red.
There's a big ray over here.
Yeah, oh, that's good though.
That's
It's all right.
I will be snorting salt water for a couple of days, but this is an experience I would definitely repeat. Ambergris Key is all about swimming and diving and dining and relaxing. I've been to a few places around the Caribbean, and this place is, I think, my favorite. It has it all. Finally, it's time to leave. I missed my dog and work calls, and the fantasy is ending. Belize was a blind date, and after dinner and a few drinks and a nice walk, I feel I know her much better. Is Belize dangerous? I didn't feel unsafe anywhere at any time, but maybe I'm just clueless. There are sketchy places everywhere. Practice common sense and situational awareness, and everything should be fine. Belize isn't exactly cheap, but the experiences are intimate and authentic. It reminds me a bit of Cape Breton Island in its local and relaxed attitude. Would I recommend a Belize trip to family and friends? Yes, absolutely. Please bring me with you.